Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode on the B2B Outbound Marketing and Sales Automation series. Guys, as you know, we're really interested in figuring out the best automation out there. And a few episodes ago, I had the opportunity to talk with Valentin, and he told me he had two tools. And I was like, okay, two tools, two interviews, two podcasts, two different tools that we can learn from. So for the others that haven't got the opportunity to look at the other one, you can check out the Find the Email. But for the people that are listening for the first time, Valentin, welcome to the show.
Thanks, man. Great to be there again.
Hopefully by the end of this year, you'll come again with a third tool saying, you know what, Dancho, now I'm so excited they might have a third tool, but slow down a bit. And Valentin, you're coming from France, if I understand correct?
Yep, Lyon, France.
And maybe the best starting point here is to give us some background about who you are and what you do. I know that we did that once with the Find the Emails, but for the people that are listening this for the first time, maybe you can just give us a quick background.
Yeah, sure. So originally I have a software engineering background, but I always liked to build products on the side and whatnot, and exploring internet business ideas like blogging and everything. And so during my CS studies, I started playing with building stuff on the side, and that's how I started my first SaaS, which was SEO, which was an SEO monitoring product. Because at the time, I was really interested with the search engine optimization, SEO space, because previously I was playing with blogs and writing content and making it rank on Google, that type of stuff. But as I said, I was like building stuff and building software because I'm a developer. So that's how I mixed those two things, two interests into building a SaaS product. And so that was my first experience with SaaS and tools. But it didn't really went as well as I expected. I obviously made lots of beginner mistakes in my entrepreneurial journey, it was expected. And yeah, it didn't really took off like I wanted to. And after some time, I was so by then I had finished my study, so I had moved full time on that. And because initially I thought oh, that's not working because I'm not putting the time on it. It was just side project, so it will get better when I go full time on that. But no, it didn't change anything to go full time on it. So
that's the entrepreneurial spirit. People are like, you know what? I don't know if it's working, but if I put more resources in it, it might work.
Yeah, but in this case, in this scenario, it didn't. So something else was obviously wrong. So yeah, I just said, okay, something's wrong. I don't know exactly what, but I will start exploring new stuff because maybe something else will work better. So I started it continued running, but I started taking some part of my time to explore new stuff, new projects. And that's how I started two new projects, one of which was Scrapybird, and the other was a Reddit automation tool, more or less like Howitzer, like we were talking about before. And so I started those two tools, which were really simple in the idea. So Scrapybird just started as, okay, you get you scrape a list of people from Twitter and you get their emails. So really clear ideas. And the idea was to help actually solve some of the problems I had encountered when trying to grow SEO. So I had tried to do some cold emails and I was like, I wish that tool could have existed for me. So might as well build it for me. If I can sell it, then good. If I can't sell it somehow, I could still use it for my own usage.
Yeah. And Valentin, I was curious. I mean, two things. First, I find it funny. Scrapybird is a really reference to Twitter because that's the Twitter logo. But on the other hand, I was curious. which part was harder? Because you're a developer that moved into sales. So is it harder to build the application, or actually it's harder to sell?
Well, for me, it was much harder to sell because obviously I had a lot more experience in like developing a product, so developing stuff. So that part was now easy for me because I had experience in it. And what was new to me was like sales and sales process, sales calls, and everything. So obviously, as it was new, it was much harder, and I had a lot to learn about that. Obviously, if you come with a sales background, that would be the opposite.
That was really because with all the interviews that I'm doing, half of the people like I was a developer and built sales tool. And on the other hand, I was a sales guy and had this sales problem. So I actually found a developer or learned to develop and I built this sales tool. So that's why I was curious on the background. And another funny thing is that, was it yesterday or was it this morning where Twitter changed their logo from the bird to its Shiba or Dogecoin?
Yeah,
I don't know if you've checked. So now the Scrapybird should be Scrappy Dog.
Yeah, I won't change that for now because it might change again in a few days. So
True. But was it this today or it was yesterday?
I think it was yesterday.
Okay, nice. And so with the Scrapybird, people are able to use Twitter as scraping information and finding emails, similar like to the majority of the tools that are using LinkedIn as a social media to find the right people and then find their contact information. The Scrapybird is same logic, just applied on Twitter social media, right?
Yeah, more or less. The difference being that on LinkedIn you have all those like really formatted data, like you have the job title, the company they're in, whatever. And whereas on Twitter you rely more on interaction data, like you scrap people that have followed or posted a specific tweet or commented or retweeted a specific tweet. So you really have that intent data and not just like some demographic data that you based on.
But that's even better if you ask me, Valentin, because with the demographics, you know that, okay, the company size 1 to 50 employees and it's a CEO, but do they really need SEO? Because that was your previous company or SEO tool. While if they're tweeting about SEO tool and how unhappy are with that one, then it's a perfect opportunity to jump in. Is like, hey, would you like to try my SEO tools just to see how it's superior?
Definitely. Well, it's much more interesting. The downside to that is like in terms of volume, obviously, it gets lower because obviously not everyone is on Twitter in the first place, and not everyone that has a problem is like talking about it openly on Twitter. So there is a trade-off there between volume and relevance, but every lead that you outreach and found through Scrapybird would be highly relevant compared to LinkedIn.
Nice. And are there a lot, actually first, any other Twitter scraping tools out there?
No, not really. Like this was the first the first product to do that. I think I've seen a few people like basically copying word for word Scrapybird since, because just seeing me do that, like just copied it. But I don't know what the product is worth actually, but I think a few others popped up.
Nice. And the reason we're asking if there are any, because second question, are there a lot? And the third question is how it's positioned on the market. Is it more toward a cheap service for small businesses? Is it more toward enterprise solution? Is it more toward SaaS companies because you build it for your own SEO SaaS? So what is the target audience and position on the market?
Well, the target audience is more or less any like sales team, depending on the niche. So your niche needs to like be somewhat present on Twitter in the first place. That's not applicable to every niche. Like I imagine if you were targeting like industrial services. I'm not sure that's the type of talk you can easily find on Twitter. So that would be less applicable. So yeah, any sales team that have the target audience talking on Twitter would be a good fit. But yeah, due to the nature of the product, because it's so innovative and like no one really knows that's even possible and is not really looking for that.
Mm-hmm.
The audience actually is more with people that like to be on the edge of lead generation and try new things, and really goes extra mile to like get the top performance. So that's the type of profile I see, like the people that stay aware of like what's going on and try to stay with new technologies.
Nice. So you're targeting the younger population who want to be on the edge of the technology. And Valentin, I would also appreciate that if you can maybe give us a short demo on how the viewers or the watchers or the listeners could actually utilize the tool and how they can find a benefit for their own solution.
So honestly, it's really that simple to use. So the idea is that you have different tabs to scrape like the various data you can have on Twitter. So either like scraping followers or following a given account, or scrape like people that have interacted with a specific tweets. So either likers, retweeters, repliers. What I tend to use for myself most often is either the scrap followers feature or the tweet repliers tweeters, because I basically what I tend to find, what I found for myself is that those are the two that are the most
Useful.
that have the most intent. So either followers will get you lots of volume, because you can scrap people that accounts, like niche accounts that have like thousands of followers. So that's a good way to have volume. And for really laser targeting, you can the best way I found is like really people that have replied to a specific tweet, because those are really high intent compared like to a like, which is like you can just give a like
And
this.
also, since they are replying, they're active on Twitter. It's not like they have an account and forgot about it forever.
Yeah, for sure. And so then you just have to go on Twitter and find a niche account. So I don't know, let's say I want to target like cold email people. I could maybe Lemlist could be a good. So you have people that follow like either people in your niche or tools they use or platforms they use that have brand accounts that obviously, if they follow like a cold email software, like they're very likely to be doing some kind of cold emails or be interested by it. Like nobody's following them list for entertainment, so you can assume that they're interested in cold emails. So you just take the username there, put it in there, and then if you want if you're looking for extra specific profile, you can also filter by keywords present in the bio. So I don't know, if you're looking only for example, agency people, you could look for agency in their bio. I often do not really use that because people do not necessarily fill their bio as much as on LinkedIn, for example. So I don't find it as useful, but it can be very useful depending. Again, it really depends on what's your target audience and how specific you need it to be. And so you just click the button there and it will launch the task, scrape the people, and then try to find the emails. Depending on the size of the audience you're scraping, will take like a few minutes, few hours to complete. So we can just take a look at the previous tasks that have been completed. So this is how it looks when it's completed. So for example, here I had scraped a given repliers for a given tweet. So there was like 500 people that scraped there with the data. So you have the bio, websites, follower, whatever. And for some of them, we find an email. And the real thing is that we only try to find like business company emails and not like personal
Gmail
emails.
or Yahoo.
Yeah, exactly. Because what we want like here is B2B offers. So we really try to find like the personal company emails, no like generic contact@company.com or Gmails, Yahoo, whatever. So obviously that drives the match rate down, but that ensures like high quality in your list. So this is a type of like match rate that you can expect on a B2B audience, like around 5 to 10% emails per profile. So that can really go quickly. And if you scrape like people that have thousands followers, you can have hundreds of relevant, qualified, and verified emails. So that's also an important part, that we already verified the emails, so you can use them right away and they won't bounce. So that's really interesting, and you've just built a relevant email list in a few clicks. So that's really easy, and if it's applicable to your niche, then like you
can actually add multiple profiles, even your competitors' profiles actually on Twitter.
Exactly.
And tell me all my competitors, I want them all their followers on that they are, and then I want to do some cold outreach to them. And I'm curious also, Valentin, while I'm looking at this, even if you don't have the email, because 10% of the emails in this case you identified, for the others for the majority you have name, surname, and their website, which then can easily be either pulled into a different automation, or if you know that these are really good leads for you, you can then manually try to find their email once you know their email, once you know their name, surname, and the website.
Yeah, so we try to guess the email, the name from their profile, but sometimes like it's not clear, like people use nicknames or whatever. So you can try, if you know, once you know their company, like you can try to complete the data based on like LinkedIn.
Yeah, D'Ambrosio, e-commerce cash flow, for example, I'm looking. That is enough data to find an email.
Yeah, exactly. So you can obviously export all of that to CSV, so all the people, for you to either enrich manually. Also, some people use that to do some like cold DM directly on Twitter. So even if they don't use the email, you can send them a cold message directly on Twitter, direct message. And if you're only interested in email campaigns, you can export only people where we found an email directly to a CSV, and you can upload that right away to your favorite email sending tool.
Yes, it's a CSV. It can be imported to anything, either HubSpot or any cold email outreach tools. And based on this, just on the left are just different scraping, whether followers, followings, or members on the list, or tweet likers. So it's just a different application of the same scraping functionality, right?
Yeah. So it's the same principle. Here, for example, for tweet likers, you just need to put the tweet ID, and it works exactly the same way. So in the back end, like that's very similar, which is just the source of the data that's changed either from a tweet or Twitter account, and then like the process of like finding emails will be similar.
Nice. Can you tell me also a bit more about partnership opportunities? I mean, how is the Scrapybird, is it open for partnership opportunities?
Yeah, for sure. So we've partnered with a few like communities that are in the lead gen space, provide them like with some discounts for the members or whatever. But yeah, I'm always open to partnership opportunities. Like if you have something you can bring to the table to me, like in terms of potential customers or whatever, or feasibility opportunity, I'm always happy to like bring something to the table as well on my side with Scrapybird.
Yeah, and that was also curious. I mean, one aspect of partnership is usually sell side, like whether it's a affiliate, whether it's a reselling or that kind of part. And the other one is more the technical, where I know in the sales is also white labeled. For example, change the logo, change the design a bit, and then reoffer it as under a different name. But on the technical part is more toward API, whether someone can integrate the Scrapybird into their existing solution, whether, for example, they might have a CRM, and with the CRM, you can just use Scrapybird to enrich the data that they're having.
Yeah, definitely. So we have an API where you can call the function there to actually find an email based on a Twitter profile. So if you have a list or CRM, whatever that you want to enrich and plug find email Scrapybird there, you can definitely use that, and it's available on every subscription plan.
Nice. And Valentin, just one more question, because I was looking at your website. Your pricing is based on the emails that you're gonna find, right?
Yeah.
So in this case, from the 500 that you've identified, you're charging only for the 50 emails that you found, giving the customer the 450 prospects for free, actually, because you were just unable to find the emails.
Exactly.
Yeah, I wanted to add it here because people are going to start looking and they're saying, am I paying for the 500 prospects or I'm paying for the 50 with emails? Well, the pricing is structured per email, which means that for the emails that they can find and verify, it's going to charge only for those.
Yeah, so that's why we're like really aligned in terms of like performance, because if we don't find any email, you don't pay anything. So obviously we're incentivized to try and find valid emails as much as possible, and you don't waste your money on like scraping people and then you end up with no results.
Yeah, true. And Valentin, I'm looking at the time. I would love to hear what are the future plans on Scrapybird. I mean, I have imagination where can you drive it, but I would first let you say what are the plans for 2023 or even 2024.
Well, I'm not sure about the plans related to like Scrapybird specifically, because as I mentioned in the last episode, my current focus is more on the Find Email project, which has a much larger ambition. Whereas in Scrapybird, like overall, like the tool as it is, I found it like fairly already like standalone, and there's not a lot. I don't think there's a lot to be done in terms of like Twitter scraping. So like if there is new things to be done, that would be like adding completely new social platform, for example, do the same thing but on LinkedIn and have a more wide product. But like if I go down that direction, probably Scrapybird would have by then be integrated into Find Email, and Find Email would hold that like generic lead generation machine rather than like Scrapybird itself.
Nice. I had in my head similar directions, so I would just wanted to listen your direction, because I said, well, this one way is to actually to edit more platforms to the scraping, because then, you know, with one click, a same business user can get access to multiple social media platforms. The other one was to figure out how to find more emails, whether on the code, whether on, instead of 50 out of 500, maybe to get 200 out of 500. I have no idea technically how to do it, but that's why it's future direction. But also the third that crossed my mind is that now that you have scraped the data, it's easy to do the Twitter outreach as well. I don't think it should take a lot of effort to send Twitter messages. Same as on LinkedIn, you know, you scrape the profiles and everything, and then you initiate a sequence of messages on on LinkedIn. Well, I have no idea whether Twitter can function like that as well. But I was just curious because, you know, there are not a lot of Twitter tools, and I was just thinking, is it even possible?
Yeah, that would be possible. That can be done as well. There's some other tools that do outreach as well. But yeah, also one of the things is that currently, like, I don't know if you've followed really the news about like Twitter API and the developer side, but like they made a lot of changes on like what's possible for developers on Twitter, especially in terms of pricing. And like there's a lot of uncertainties. They're shutting down different tools, so that's why as well, like I'm a bit cautious to like invest lots of
Got it.
efforts and money into something that could be like shut down because of Elon Musk wish whatever in a few months. So like there's some uncertainty there.
Yeah, of course. With Elon Musk, Twitter, you don't know in which direction it's going to continue.
Yeah.
It's not like you can depend on it and start building on top of it, because he might just change his mind and switch the direction. Valentin, I wanted to thank you, but before we leave, I wanted to ask you how people can actually try or where they can reach out to you if they're interested in Scrapybird. Is there something like a trial or something that they can do in order to play with it? And then, of course, if they see application in their business process, they can consider using it. If not, then, of course, at least they tried.
Yeah, so you can sign up for free on Scrapybird, and you have 10 free email credits to use. So you can see, do your first scraping task and see if it finds email for your niche. And once you've used those 10 emails, if you feel like there's more to be done there and you need more data, you can just upgrade after you're convinced that there's value for you there.
Nice. So what I will do, Valentin, is I'll just links just below the video, so whoever is interested, they can try the Scrapybird. And for everybody out there, I mean, give it a try. I know Twitter is not that famous for outreach, and if you ask me, that is an advantage, because when LinkedIn was not that popular on prospecting and outreach, it was not crowded. Now everybody are on LinkedIn. So maybe this is the extra hand that you guys need to try to collect emails from Twitter with the intent. And from there, give it a try if it works. If not, at least you know that it exists. Valentin, I really want to thank you for coming and sharing your story, because these are the tools that should help people save time, rather than I'm going to manually go over every person on Twitter. With a one click and very little amount of money, they can get that directly as a CSV.
Yeah, thank you for the invitation again.
Yeah, it was a pleasure. For everybody, have a great day, and we continue looking for the best automation tools to present. Cheers.